What's up, everybody? Bandit and Chad here for a very rainy, gloomy Taco Tuesday, but we have something kind of interesting to talk about. So we just got word on pricing for the new Ranger Raptor for the Australian market, and in Australian dollars, it's $74,990. Now, with the exchange rate and everything else, that works out to about $57,742 US dollars. And this kind of got Chad and I thinking, you know, what is too much for a truck? You know, this is a mid-sized truck, but, you know, we could extend this debate for half tons, 3/4 tons, 1 tons, and the like. But in the last couple years especially, trucks have gotten a lot more expensive, and there's kind of a range of reasons for that. You know, obviously trucks have gotten a good bit more luxurious, they have more features than ever before, and they're getting more economical, more complex, you know, the list goes on and on. But what is too much for a truck?
Right, so when you're looking at these trucks, as he had alluded to, these vehicles have gotten a lot more advanced, more luxurious as time has gone on. You know, we're getting like different variations of leather and a whole suite of technologies in these trucks. Now, whether you pay extra for some of these technologies is up to you, but there are several sets of technologies that are standard, and manufacturers compensate for that with a higher market price to the consumer. So when we were talking about this, we thought, wow, that's really expensive. You know, we both paid around $35,000 for our trucks when they were brand new, and the Ranger Raptor is supposedly going to be just like twice the price here in America. So we feel like that's definitely too much. And we were also talking about how he had done a video a few months back on the TRD Pro Tacoma, and asking, is $45,000 too much money for Tacoma? When essentially it is just a TRD off-road with some different things added onto it, as well as the name and wheels, tires, whatever it comes with. Actually, the tires, you know, that's the same, but that's another story. But $45,000 to us, you know, that's a whole lot considering what you actually get with the truck. And the Ranger Raptor doesn't really offer all that much more.
Right, and this is kind of a trend that you see all across the board. You know, I was actually just doing some pricing for a new Silverado, and, you know, just out of curiosity, and a base Silverado starts roughly around $30,000 to get one, you know, that's semi-well equipped. You know, not just a complete base fleet truck, but you can spend upwards of, you know, $70,000 on a half-ton Silverado. So that means you're paying $30,000 to $40,000 here just in options. And, you know, that's doubling the price of the vehicle. And how many options is too much? You know, back in the day, trucks started as a work vehicle. You know, it was basically a vehicle that you could you know, go to town in or whatever else, but you always had a big bed behind you to throw whatever else you needed in. And that kind of changed a little bit in the 60s and 70s when trucks started becoming more and more comfortable and people actually were driving them every day. You know, a lot of people could only afford one vehicle at the time. And, you know, trucks were mainly still single cab then, but, you know, you were starting to get enough options, you know, with air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, everything like that, when a truck could feasibly be an everyday vehicle. Now, you know, trucks are becoming luxury barges just like everything else. You know, there's very, very little difference between something like a Tahoe and a Silverado, or very little difference between, say, a 4Runner and a Tacoma. You know, they're becoming more or less the same. You're just getting a slightly longer frame and a truck bed behind you. But this really is kind of an interesting debate. You know, vehicles are becoming safer, they're becoming more efficient, but really how much is too much? You know, just personally, I don't think I would consider buying any new vehicle anymore, because things are just becoming, you know, kind of out of hand in my opinion. Now, they're saying that they're becoming safer with all these extra sensors and everything else, but how much of that is actually true? You know, we're having reports of companies like Mitsubishi and everything else where if you're putting your vehicle in park now and someone's coming up behind you, it won't even let you unlock the doors because they don't want you to get run over. Now, I understand that the car manufacturers are just looking out for your best interest, but you need to be vigilant as a driver, you know, as is. You can't just go about your life being all willy-nilly and not paying attention. That doesn't really work. So, you know, I don't know what the answer is here, but I definitely don't know how much more you can pack into trucks and how much more you can raise the price, and consumers will keep buying it. it really is kind of an interesting debate here.
Right. There are several people that, will absolutely pay. It doesn't matter what the price is of the vehicle. They might be making enough money where it's that they have their mindset on one thing, and they're not even going to try and save any extra money on it. They're like, okay, this is a brand new vehicle. This is what we're going to buy it for. And most of the time, that type of buyer is probably just going to get into a lease, because they're going to enjoy that vehicle for 3 years or whatever their lease term may be. And by the time it's up, they're ready to, change things up and go into another vehicle 3 years later that might have even more technology in it and even more features that they might not even use in that time. And they're not even necessarily worried about the longevity of the vehicle, how well it will perform over time, and all those examples, kind of like how we've talked about reasons that we chose a Tacoma maybe over a Colorado, or even a last generation Ford Ranger, or anything, So,
right. And you see this kind of trend in everything else. These cell phones that we all tote around and highly value in today's society, they're really only good for a couple of years, and then you have to, basically throw it away and get an all new one because the technology is changing so rapidly.
Yep.
And really, that is one of the reasons I felt confident with going with the Tacoma. The engine that we have in these trucks is new for the Tacoma, but it's been in the rest of Toyota's lineup and Lexus lineup for quite a while. And with the exception of the addition of direct injection and port injection instead of just port injection like we had in the last trucks, there's not really anything revolutionary about these. Now, a lot of people view that as a bad thing, but personally I think of it as a good thing. Sure, there's nothing radically new, but the technology also shouldn't change so rapidly that this truck becomes obsolete here in 5 years. A lot of these vehicles where you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and how that's kind of the big thing now. Well, what comes after that? This is the big craze. 2 years ago, we had no idea what that even was. And it's possible in another 2 years that we're not even going to use that. And
right.
It really brings up an interesting debate, and I would love to hear what you all think in the comments below. So be sure and let us know what you do think, because we would love to continue this conversation in the comment section. So in terms of news from around the industry this week, we have some more information regarding the upcoming Supra. Now, again, this vehicle is being co-developed with BMW, so we would assume that a lot of the chassis and suspension design would come out of Toyota, and the engine and powertrain would likely come out of BMW. That's how a lot of these things work. That's very similar to how the whole BRZ GT86 and FRS thing worked with Subaru. But we have some new information regarding the transmission that will be available in this new Supra, and it looks like it's only going to be the new dual clutch. Now, a dual clutch is better than a standard automatic, generally is a little bit quicker and everything else, so I'm sure it'll have great driving dynamics, but for true enthusiasts of the Supra, I think we were all kind of hoping for a manual transmission, and especially when the new Corolla hatchback came out and they had this new auto rev matching manual transmission, with all this new technology, I think a lot of us were expecting that should hopefully make its way with very similar, changes and everything like that into the new Supra. But it looks like we're only going to be seeing that new dual clutch there in the new vehicle. Now, this could be a good thing. For some people at least that want to use it for track use, the dual clutch that BMW just came out with the new M3s is a really, really great transmission from what I've read and heard about it. So I have hopes that it'll be good, but I was really expecting a manual transmission. Now, with a little bit better news, it looks like we will be seeing a new variant of the GT86 and Subaru BRZ here before too long. It looks like around 2020 is when that vehicle should be coming out, and they're promising more power. Now, one of the engineers from behind this project just a few weeks ago said that they didn't believe in adding forced induction for the current BRZ in 86 because the platform didn't support that, and it was only rated for the amount of horsepower it had. Now, we didn't really believe that because a lot of people in the aftermarket are adding the WRX turbos because it is more or less the same motor there with the FA20, but that vehicle handles perfectly fine with a little bit of extra power, and even up to 300 or 400 horsepower, it seems to be just fine. Now, with this new one, they're promising a 2.5 liter engine, so whether that'll be an FA25 or something like that, all of that remains to be seen, but we'll be sure to keep you all updated on all of that.
Right. So our last bit of news for this week does come from Ford Motor Company, and they are recalling somewhat of 350,000 of their new F-150s and Expeditions. Now, I'm guessing that's a mixture of the two of them, but they're recalling it for an issue with their transmission. So this is the new 10-speed automatic transmission that is co-developed with General Motors, and it will, if you have the vehicle in park even, it can roll away. So they are saying that there's a mix-up or something where the gears within the transmission were manufactured incorrectly, weren't quality control checked, or something was wrong with them. But 350,000 vehicles is quite a lot. So if you do have one of the new F-150s or Expeditions with the 10-speed automatic transmission, be sure to get that checked out, because that's a serious problem. You know, it seems to be a problem lately with even Fiat Chrysler with some of their vehicles having transmission issues where they can roll away due to something within the transmission breaking, even while in park, or driving away. Even when they had first come out with the ZF 8-speed, my mom actually had a 2013 or 2014 Grand Cherokee that had that 8-speed, and it was a fantastic transmission, but the shifter was kind of weird in that when you put it up into like park, the shifter itself kind of returns to a different position, so it's kind of like spring loaded. So like when you bring it down into drive, it kind of moves back forward into like almost like the neutral position. So some people were thinking that they put it up into park, but really it was reversed. So when they got out of the vehicle, their Grand Cherokee started to back up or just roll away, which was a big issue. So Fiat Chrysler had to redesign the whole shifter design, so it's kind of like these trucks where you can only have it in the position that you're in. So whether that be drive, park, neutral, reverse, whatever it is, you know for sure that you're in that gear, whereas it wasn't so inconspicuous with those transmissions. But anyway, so yeah, if you do have one of those Fords with the 10-speed automatic, definitely get that checked out. I'm sure Ford will be sending something in the mail within the next month or so. If you don't know and aren't able to check it online, that will be the one way that Ford will let you know about all that.
That's right. So thank you all very much for watching. Be sure and let us know exactly what you think in the comments below. And again, you know, how much really is too much for a new truck? You know, if the current rates continue, it's only a matter of time until we're looking at $50,000 or $60,000 mid-size trucks, and you know, the half tons and so on will be well over $100,000. So a really interesting life that we're living in here. You know, trucks are becoming less and less of a true work vehicle and more of, you know, an everyday luxury barge, let's call it. So thank you all very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video and you're stopping in for the first time, we would really appreciate you all subscribing and following us on Instagram. We do really appreciate all of the support. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Catch you next time.
See you guys.